Vegas, where our 7-day quest for poker immortality is almost complete.
I brought 7 suits for 7 days. Because I made up my mind. I want to win this tournament.
Ooh-wee! It's on now. This is war. We are playing for $5 million. There's never been this much money up at stake, and I'm here to get it.
And as they get closer to the prize, emotions take over. Dealer, do it!
Yes! Yes!
Jesus!
I get excited and happy when I win.
Yeah!
I know I can overdo it, but that's just me.
The day of reckoning is near, and only a chosen few will survive to chase the dream. Welcome to the 2004 World Series of Poker, presented by Miller High Life. They played over 50 hours of poker for 5 days, but today we'll be down to only 18 players in the final 2 tables and $5 million that much closer. Hello, everybody. Alongside Norman Chad, I'm Lon McCarran. 32 players remain in our main event. One of them is our chip leader, Fossil Man Greg Raymer, so called because of the trinkets he brings to the poker table. Another one is Dan Harrington, who has been referred to as a dinosaur in the game.
Dan Harrington won this event 10 years ago, and then he took a long time off. He told me that skill-wise, he's not where he was 10 years ago, but he's still good enough, he says, to beat these youngins.
And the 58-year-old Dan Harrington at our feature table, number 2 in chip count, over $1.5 million.
There's Greg Raymer, 39 years old, with his signature spectacles.
29-year-old Josh Arieh with almost $1.3 million.
Everybody sleep good? Yeah, come on.
I swear to God I did. I slept more last night than I slept in 3 nights put together.
Yeah, me too. I had about 4 hours.
I need one more card. I'm not that good.
Sleep can be very difficult to come by here, especially in day 6 with the pressure mounting and $5 million on the line. Action over to Bradley Berman on our Miller High Life Pocket Cam, showing a couple of 6s. And good morning, with about 400,000 chips, Berman's going all in.
Berman, the man who knocked out Doyle Brunson the other day. His house has been picketed ever since. And Raymer will call Bradley's all in.
With an ace-king, Greg Raymer with a chance to knock Bradley Berman out of this tournament. The players behind Raymer fold, Harrington folds, so we'll be heads up. Berman and Raymer going to the flop.
Have an all-in on 120.
Good luck, sir.
I would say no bad beats, but it's bound to happen one way or another.
I'd go no bad beats, should be fine.
Berman a slight favorite going to the flop. It's queen, 3, queen. He does survive the flop in the lead.
His position's a little more comfortable. He's trying to avoid an ace or a king.
And the turn card is a king, and Raymer with the pair of kings.
And now Bradley Berman will need a 6 on the river to stay alive in the main event.
And the river card's a 9, and it's not going to be enough for Bradley Berman, who is eliminated by Fossil Man Greg Raymer.
Good playing.
Good playing.
Greg Raymer is now over 2 million chips here on day 6, still the leader of the pack in this no-limit Texas Hold'em main event. Here are the Miller High Life rules for Texas Hold'em. Each player is first dealt 2 down cards. A round of betting then occurs as players decide for the first time if they're in or they're out. Then come the community cards with the flop, the turn, and the river with a round of betting after each. In the end, the best 5-card combination wins the hand and takes the pot. 30 players remain in contention here at the Horseshoe, so there are a few empty chairs around the room, but one empty seat remains a mystery. John Murphy, number 5 in the chip count, seems to be missing.
Something doesn't add up, Lon. He plays all week. He gets near the front of the line for $5 million, and he disappears.
They'll continue to take his blinds and addies as they come around the table, but with a world championship on the line, you just don't go AWOL. There's a good look at David Williams of Dallas. He had over 1 million chips when the doors open. Right now, he is jousting with that man Hung Law. And Law moves in with a big bet, and too rich for David Williams, and he'll fold and lose the small pot to Hung Law.
Just like the previous session, Williams hanging around, can't get anything going, but at least he's hanging around.
Gavin Anderson at almost 1.4 million was number 3 on the chip stack today. He's got a couple of aces. He's made a bet to Glenn Cooney, who has moved all in with pocket 9s. Here comes the flop, and Cooney finds gold there in the flop, a third 9.
Jesus!
The turn card is an 8, no help for Anderson.
Now Anderson will need an ace to knock out Cooney.
The river card's a 2, and that makes sure Cooney stays alive. He doubles up.
He's beat 8.
Can anybody else possibly get lucky on me?
Anderson a bit flustered.
Cooney was last on the chip count starting today, but he finds some luck against Anderson.
Is your name Moneymaker?
You know, Lon, poker's often a character test on how well you handle things when they go south. Gavin Anderson doesn't look like he wants to pass that test.
Back over to our featured table and chip leader, Greg Raymer. He's looking at King 6 offsuit. And he'll come out with 55,000. And a stare. I hate those glasses.
But notice, Josh doing the right thing, never looking at the cookie monster to his right while he's making his decision.
Arieh with pocket 10s. And he will call the 55,000 chip bet from Greg Raymer.
And he'll slide on his own glasses,
Why not?
which isn't quite as intimidating.
No. On the flop now, Arieh gets a set of 10s and checks.
He'll slow play him. Raymer checks. Well, Josh tried to reel Fossil Man in, hook, line, and sinker, but Raymer wouldn't bite.
Oh, now Arieh has 4 10s.
And now Arieh might try to cast the line out there. Oh, but 55,000, that bet smells, Lon. A little too small.
He might have a deuce. I better let it go.
And Raymer doesn't bite. Arieh wins a small pot, wasting quad 10s.
That's right. Now you won't even have to see the river card. I knew it was coming. You're good fold.
I had the 4-5 of clubs.
A 4 of clubs is in the river.
What am I gonna call that?
A7 or something?
No, King Jack.
If a poker player told me Grant was buried in Grant's tomb, I wouldn't believe him.
Meanwhile, the concern over John Murphy's whereabouts continues to grow.
1.3 million in chips sitting over here. Anybody seen John Murphy?
The APBs have gone out.
The World Series of Poker is brought to you by Milwaukee's Best Light. Milwaukee's Best Light, brewed for a man's taste. And in part by Levitra. Ask your doctor about it today. Levitra, when it counts. And Harris Entertainment. The World Series of Poker presented by Miller High Life. Main Event.
Welcome back to the Horseshoe. John Murphy's seat is still empty, and he's losing money as they take the blinds and antes, and it has become the topic of conversation in the room.
Let's see. How many orbs? Does anyone kept track how many times around it's gone?
We played an hour and 5 minutes, so it's went around. This is actually my 4th one.
He's out maybe a couple 100,000.
200 minimum. Two and change.
I know traffic's bad these days, but how can Murphy be this late with $5 million up for grabs?
And the whole card's a Martin Fajo 8-5 offsuit.
This hand is like drugs. You want to play it? No to drugs.
Just say no to 8-5 offsuit.
Over to Matthias Anderson. He had just over 500,000 chips at the start of the day. Ace-9 offsuit. And he comes out with 90,000. Greg Raymer now. Ace-4.
$250,000.
When he says $250,000, Lon, he means 250,000.
And that is a huge bet before the flop. And Josh Arieh, you saw run away from the table. And Greg Raymer, who is the chip leader in this tournament right now, beginning to use those chips to his advantage and scaring off the rest of the table. Michael McLean folds over to Matthias Anderson.
How much is it?
$250,000 is 250,000. Jeez.
And Matthias now getting the business end of those glasses from Greg Raymer.
Can I try your glasses?
You can try them out as often as you like in between hands.
Matthias has the better kicker, but it's hard to want to pay that price at this point.
Very nice.
And Greg Raymer takes the pot, and he's a man of his word.
I don't know if those glasses are safe in another man's hands.
Nah, they don't work on him.
Those things need to be outlawed.
What do you mean? After this, when this hits the TV, everyone's going to be wearing them.
I keep them for one hand.
One hand?
Yeah, one hand.
Now watch, I'm going to get in a monster pot with you, and you're going to be able to see my eyes. You or Dan.
It's not a good thing, is it?
No. You might see something. I don't want you to see anything.
I didn't mean to mention this, but just to be fair to you, you know when you change the tilt of the glasses, the reflection changes. So I think you're bluffing in a certain position. When the other position, you have a hand when it's solid. Yeah, I thought it was only fair.
Oh, I know.
In doing your betting, I thought it was only fair I mentioned that to you.
Well, I know it changed color. I didn't realize it was a tell, though.
It did change.
Poker is more than just a card game. It's a mind game.
Sometimes it's annoying. You know someone's just trying to get under your skin.
Can you take off your glasses so I can see what's cooking?
I get guys on tilt by consistently needling them. You want to know where the last guy that kept raising my big blind is? He's watching somewhere.
And listen first.
You know what I've got?
To see if the players are weak or strong.
But the question is, do you know what I've got?
And wipe them out.
Nice playing with you.
When I'm wearing those glasses, it's just too annoying to stare me down.
I look at his eyes and I'm confused.
If it adds any significant edge and it's fun, why not do it?
You sure you don't want to call?
It's a mind game. Sometimes it works, then you're the best, and sometimes you don't succeed.
I had a big hand.
Norm, what I love about poker is it continues to be played even when the cards are mucked.
And Raymer's been almost bulletproof here in the main event.
Meanwhile, on the outer tables, Chris "Jesus" Ferguson is pondering a bet from Gary Jones of 50,000 chips. Ferguson with 2 4s is moving all in with almost 650,000 chips against Jones's kings.
Ferguson was willing to gamble with pocket 4s in an attempt to double up. The one thing he didn't want to run into was a higher pair. That's what Gary Jones has.
All right, I call.
So Ferguson will be a 4-1 underdog. This could be his last stand. If he loses his hand, he'll be virtually out of chips.
6, 7, 8.
The flop is low cards, but Ferguson needs lower.
Well, Ferguson at least picked up a straight draw there. A 5 would give him a straight.
And the turn card's a 7.
And that gives him another set of outs because now he can make a flush along with a straight or a 4 for a set of 4s.
It's a queen of diamonds and Gary Jones with a huge win here against Chris "Jesus" Ferguson.
Jones doubles up, and Chris Ferguson is down to 4,000 chips. He's going to lose 3,000 of those on the next ante. He'll be down to 1 chip line.
So Gary Jones stacking up his winnings, a lot of those chips coming from Chris "Jesus" Ferguson, who started the day with almost 1 million chips. But a lot of those now into the stack of Gary Jones, who has almost 1.5 million. And "Jesus" Ferguson making his last stand.
I got a feeling that Chris will be going all in on this hand. Yep, he's going to take the lead. Jack 4 off suit, there's nothing he can do about it.
And Gary Jones still stacking his winnings. And he'll
I can have to announce my name twice in a row.
It's only right that Gary Jones gets to finish him off.
I don't have a big hand, Chris.
Except he's actually got pretty bad cards.
Ferguson right now is a 3-1 advantage on Jones. Now Chris has to be happy to see his jack out kicks Jones 8.
You're beating me.
4. Oh, dominated.
Here's life and Chris "Jesus" Ferguson after all. Here comes the flop. Jones does not improve.
5. Now.
And now the turn card is a 5 and Ferguson still in the lead.
Ferguson wants to dodge an 8 on the river, and he'll be alive.
We're even. That's
And
it.
the
Win
river
one.
card's a 2, and Chris Ferguson wins the hand with a jack high. He actually doubled up and more and got everybody's blinds and antes, and he ends up with 24,000 chips.
Awesome. Next stop, 50,000 or so.
Meanwhile, the mystery of John Murphy's been solved.
Well, I was told that he was staying at the Bellagio, which is a neighboring casino. And at that time, I gave him a call to see if he was over there or if something was going on, and found out that he was sleeping. So I woke him up, told him he needed to get over here. He was playing for $5 million. And he said, I'll be right over.
Toyota Points Leader is brought to you by Toyota Tundra Double Cab. Not just big, life-sized.
The Toyota Player of the Year leaderboard is close to being final. Only Chris Ferguson can overtake Daniel Negreanu, but Jesus must win the main event. And with 24,000 chips right now, well, turning water into wine would be easier.
I raise.
Oh, Chris is going to go all in.
with a reasonable hand.
Yeah.
Very reasonable pocket nines.
And to give you some perspective, the average chip count in the room right now is about 900,000. Ferguson with 24,000 chips.
Many steps on the ladder to go.
Gary Jones is in the hand.
Hell of a lay down.
He must have a bounty on Chris's head. He keeps coming in.
And James Grimes also with 2 8s in the hand. The flop, all blanks. Amazing. Nobody improves.
So we saw Chris double up before. He has a chance to triple up now. There's a side pot if the other two players wish to build one. They have checked.
Turn card is a 10. No help for Jones or Grimes.
And they will check again.
Now to the river. Chris Ferguson in the lead with his pair of 9s. Another 9 for Ferguson.
No pair. Ace high.
All I got to set of 9s.
And Chris shows the winning hand.
Come on, Chris.
And the crowd takes note of Jesus' little comeback.
I didn't finish him off.
Gary Jones has tried to knock Chris Ferguson out a couple of times, but he cannot do it. Is that water turning rosy color?
Doubled up.
Tripled up probably again.
What'd they say? What happened?
3 9s.
He might have a couple people against him for all I know.
He's got 100,000 now.
He wins this one, he starts to become a threat.
No, then we'll call him God.
Yeah.
4 more double ups, he's over $1 million, Chris Ferguson.
That's the idea.
At our featured table now, we're looking at Matthias Anderson with ace-king offsuit. And he will bet 90,000. Greg Raymer folds his hand over to Josh Arieh. He has 1 7. He's got 2 7s.
How much do you have, brother?
About 400. 405.
I raise. 275 more.
I'm not sure why he didn't put Matthias all in that situation.
Now Arieh going to war with the glasses. And the rest of the table running away in fear of Josh Arieh's glasses. And finally the action back over to Matthias Anderson. And Matthias is going to go all in with his ace-king.
Josh calls immediately, so same difference. I'm still curious about the 275 bet, but Matthias is all in.
So it'll be Arieh and Matthias. Arieh with the advantage going to the flop with a pair of 7s.
Matthias looks like he's preparing for his 5 o'clock whistle.
Got $1 million pot. And that's why ace-king is a great starting hand.
Come on, no solar!
2 pair for Matthias Anderson. And the turn card, a queen of hearts.
And now a 7 and 7 only on the river would knock out Matthias Anderson.
And now the river card. It's an 8 and Anderson wins the hand.
I don't know if Josh appreciates Matthias's end zone dance.
Is that yes in Swedish?
I think Greg Raymer's glasses just broke. Part of the strategy, of course, is collecting chips, but you also have to be careful to whom you send your chips when you lose.
Good re-race.
Josh just sent 500,000 over to Matthias, and it'll be a much bigger factor with $1 million chips. Josh Arieh started today in 7th place, but has hit a rough patch. He is happy, though. His wife, Angela, is here. Despite a recent trip to the hospital, she's here to support her husband, who's trying to make a name for himself in the poker world.
A couple of my friends have nicknamed me Atlanta Josh, quote unquote, the best player you've never heard of. Is there ever a doubt? I want to win this tournament because I know how well I've played. Nobody else does. This game's easy. I know I've outplayed my opponents 95% of the time at the table, and I want to show it to everybody else. I know for the last 5 months I've played my top game, and it just continues to get better. We can gamble. I have a chance here, and this could be the one. So when this happens, it's just game over. I think we're playing tiddlywinks, and I've proved my point.
The best player you never heard of won a World Series bracelet in '99 in No Limit Hold'em. And now a 5 bracelet winner, Chris Ferguson, continues his saga going all in once again with 78,000 chips and ace-king.
Finally getting good cards just in time.
Is that right?
Glenn Hughes with a suited Jack-9 has called Chris Ferguson.
You got me.
Ferguson was once down to a single chip, now trying to continue this remarkable comeback.
Give me some hearts, baby. Jack 9 or hearts?
The flop, 10, 5, 7.
Hughes picks up a straight draw, but Ferguson's still a 2-1 favorite.
8, Jack, 9. 8, Jack, or 9.
Turn card, a 3. Hughes gets no help.
8, Jack, or 9. 8, Jack, or 9. Dealer, do it.
River card, it's a queen. Ferguson does it again.
If you bought Chris's stock when it was at 4,000 and now it's selling at over 200,000, you feel like Warren Buffett.
Glenn Hughes, the third straight player to fail at knocking Ferguson out. What a comeback.
I got a lot more work to do. I'm probably going to be the next one out, but you never know. I could get lucky a couple more times and be back in it.
That would be fun to watch. And look at this. He promised he was on his way, and John Murphy has arrived at the Horseshoe. I guess $5 million does mean something.
Well, you sleep through a chemistry midterm, that's no big deal. But how do you sleep through maybe your best opportunity ever to win a world title? Now, the other players are going to give him the business.
Let me let you keep your blonde.
Well, John Murphy is back in the building, and we'll find out if the extra hours of sleep were worth the 200,000 chips he lost while he was out. The goal today at the main event is to reduce the field to 18 players, and we have some new faces here at our featured table. One of them is John Murphy, who just recently entered the building. And Chris Jesus Ferguson probably hates to leave that table he was winning at.
We had to bring him in. He was in the outer courts. He's got to come back in progress. You got to put him on center court.
And young Matthias Anderson remains here at the featured table, becoming a bigger and bigger force as we move through. And the blinds now at 12 and 24,000. It's a 4,000 chip ante from each player. And over to Gary Jones, who has an ace-8 offsuit.
Jones was the one who put Jesus back to a single chip, and then Ferguson started on his comeback.
60,000 chips from Jones. Matthias Anderson will fold. Now over to John Murphy.
Looks well rested, Lon.
Didn't shave, though. Didn't have the time to shave. He'll fold. William Erickson. Pair of sixes. He didn't have time to shave either.
He has time to bet.
You got it.
And he will call the 60,000 that Jones put in. It'll be 2 to the flop, and Erickson now with 3 sixes.
And Jones gets a pair of aces, and Erickson decides he's going to sit on the 3 sixes. They both check.
On the turn card, now it's a full house for Erickson, 6s and 4s.
Check. Still looking to trap Gary Jones.
Jones puts in 60,000. Oh, and now the acting begins.
Well, not much can beat him. Obviously, only pocket aces or pocket 4s would beat Erickson right now. Chances are his opponent doesn't have that. And he decides to call. Slow play it again.
The river is a king. And Erickson comes out firing with 120,000.
So 120?
120.
Jones makes the call and loses the hand.
Nicely played by Erickson.
Over 500,000 chips in that pot. And William Erickson is up to almost 1 million in his chip stack. On the outer tables, Marcel Loos holds pocket aces, but Josh Arieh flopped 2 pair 10s and 9s going to the river.
Both had checked on the turn, and now on the river, Marcel makes 3 aces.
And the check mark next to his hand means he has the hand 1 if he doesn't fold. Marcel bets 200,000 chips.
And Josh makes a good laydown.
And Marcel Loos, who started the day in 4th place in the chip count, is well over 1 million, and he shows the aces.
A civilized thing to do.
Meanwhile, Mike McLean has a pair of 8s in the hole. He trails the 2 10s of Glenn Hughes. The flop has been no help to McLean. He's a 6-1 underdog, but he has just gone all in.
And what he's doing is putting Glenn Hughes all in, who has fewer chips, and it's a tough decision for Glenn Hughes. He has pocket 10s. He's got about 1 million in chips. This is the whole nature of no limit, Lon. It's a tough decision for all his chips. If he's wrong, he'll be out of here. Of course, he's ahead in the hand, doesn't know it. Would fear pocket jacks, queens, kings, aces.
And Hughes folds his cards and shows his 10s to Mike McLean.
Let me see. I show you, you show me. Fair deal?
Show bluff.
Show the bluff. It's good for the game.
I don't like what you see, man.
2 8s over here for Mike McLean.
And Glenn Hughes distraught that he gave away the best hand with a lot of chips to be won.
You may not know Mike McLean by name, but I know you're sitting there at home saying, I've seen that face somewhere.
I'm best known for being the person on last year's broadcast who was the agony of defeat guy.
So at the World Series, every hand can be the hand that makes you or breaks you.
When I'm at the table, I definitely don't like to show a lot of emotion, but I pretty much have that pained expression probably a little too often. If I can win a couple pots and we get a rush of cards, then hopefully I'll be the thrill of victory.
Well, the hangdog look of Mike McLean looks a lot better in victory.
That looks better.
It's a long day still. We got a long way to go. It's a good spot. Gotta get lucky a few more times.
Talk about lucky. Chris Ferguson has made survival an art form so far in the last few hands. When we last saw Jesus, he had over 200,000 chips. He's now down below 150,000, and he's got ace 10 right here, and he's thinking of betting. He's gone in with worse. He's been actually wearing the felt out, going all in.
And he does go all in again.
137,000 chips is the tally, and over to Matthias Anderson.
How much is it?
If you want to know how much it is, stop chewing first, then ask. These online guys have no table manners.
Well, they have the computer that tallies up the numbers for them.
Well, he sloppily puts in the bet to call Chris's all in.
And now I'm wondering, as the rest of the table looks at Chris Ferguson, do they respect him enough not to want to be the one to knock him out?
Oh, they don't care who it is, Lon. If they have the cards and you have chips, they want your chips.
So it'll be Ferguson and Anderson to the flop.
And Chris, a slight underdog to keep this remarkable comeback going.
No ace, no 10, 5. 5! No ace, no 10, 5, 5, 5.
During this survival streak, he'd been the favorite going to the flop, but he trails slightly here.
5.
3 5s for Anderson.
Yeah!
Ferguson was able to survive his 3 earlier all-ins, but this 4th one looks like it's going to do him in. He could only survive with a queen and a jack for a straight.
The turn card's a 7, and that's going to end it. Chris Ferguson's luck runs out.
Yeah! Yeah!
What's going on with you?
Matthias Anderson did what 3 other players could not.
Good luck.
Thank you. Great game.
I'm not a religious man, but I hate to see Jesus go. He turned 1 chip into more than 200,000 in chips, but could go no further.
And his tribute to Chris is not only for what he's accomplished just in the last hour, but for all his contributions to poker throughout his career.
Congratulations, buddy.
Matthias Anderson knocked out a legend, but Ferguson sure made it fun down the stretch.
There were a couple of hands I really shouldn't have won, and I won, so that helps to go away happy with this tournament. It was a blast. I can't wait till next year.
The World Series of Poker presented by Miller High Life. Main event.
After his elimination a moment ago, Chris Ferguson still taking in the adulation of the fans here at the Horse. And rightly so. Another fan in the house is Shirley Williams, keeping close tabs on her son, David Williams, who's in a hand against Marcel Lusk. David has a pair of 6s. Marcel has suited King-Queen. Just after the flop, Williams checks. And Marcel's going to move all in.
And that would put Williams all in, and a good read and a good call by David Williams. Marcel has taken David under his wing in this World Series, and David has soaked up Marcel's wisdom, if not his personality, and he has his mentor on the ropes right here.
And now the turn card to come, 9 of spades, no help to Marcel.
Marcel would need a king or queen on the river to knock out his protege.
The river card is a 3 of diamonds, and David Williams wins the hand, and Mom Shirley sees her son's chip stack grow to over 1 million. And Marcel Lusk lost about 500,000 chips to one of the young guns in this tournament, David Williams, who along with another young phenom here, John Murphy, got their poker background from a different type of card game.
Me and all my friends used to play a card game called Magic the Gathering. It's kind of like Dungeons and Dragons. We kind of graduated from that and started playing poker. A lot of the skills that are required to be a good Magic player can pass over to poker.
About 10 and 5.
Gamble good. When time, there's more money to be made. I got chips this week. It's more exciting. More of like an adult's game. A lot of people have brought to my attention the fact that it's great that I'm 21 and I'm doing so good.
Murph Dog's kicking ass!
Age doesn't really matter. I just play the game.
Since John Murphy crawled out of bed this morning, he's added about 500,000 chips to his stack. Not too bad. Gary Jones looking at pocket aces. That'll wake you up. 65,000 chips from him.
Did you notice that one of those cards he has is the Ace of Spades?
You like that one?
Have I not told you the Ace of Spades is the prettiest card in the deck? Oh.
And there's only one of them.
Oh, and it's a thing to behold.
The table folds over to Al Crux, who won a pot limit Hold'em bracelet here in 1996.
I'll raise it.
He's got a couple of nines, and he's going to raise it. It's 185,000. He's a big underdog, though.
There's another player.
Oh, God.
Josh Arieh inadvertently acts out of turn.
Harry Demetriou will look at his cards and muck them. Now back to Gary Jones. Does he want to call the 185? Yes, he does.
He will just call, being coy with his pocket aces, hoping to get more chips from Al Crux down the road.
Here comes the flop. It's 2, 7, 10. Crux is left wanting.
A check again from Gary Jones, trying to trap Al. Al does not bet.
Turn card. Oh, it's a 9, and now Crux has a set and a hammerlock on this hand.
But Gary Jones figures it's time for him to act. He bets 350,000 on the aces.
I'm all in.
All in.
Take the 350 first, just so I know how much I'm going to be calling when I do, because I am.
Crux pushed in his last 215,000.
Okay, then if I've let you hit a set, good luck to you. I call. I call.
He did let him hit a set, and he's not going to like this.
Gary Jones going to need a lot of help on the river.
He can still knock out Al Crux with an ace.
The river card's a 3, and Al Crux comes from a deep hole to win this pot of over 1.5 million chips.
In a previous session, we saw Al crack pocket aces with 10s. This time he's done it again with 9s. He's sleeping with angels, Lon.
We swing now to one of the outer tables where Davin Anderson holds an ace-10 suited, but he's playing against Greg Raymer, who leads with 2 6s, and the flop is just about to come out. Raymer gets a set, Anderson 2 aces.
I'm all in.
I call.
Raymer has Anderson covered, so Anderson's tournament life is at stake, and he is not happy about the situation. Sees how far behind he is as we head to the turn.
Anderson with his 2 aces and a 10 kicker, but Greg Raymer has 3 6s and a virtual lock on this hand. And now the turn card. A queen of spades, and Davin has some options.
Those options are simple, Lon. Davin Anderson needs a spade to extend his storybook World Series.
Davin Anderson was a chip leader. Greg Raymer is the chip leader. Here comes the river card. It's a diamond. And Davin Anderson is eliminated in 25th position. His aggressive style worked great for him until he ran into an equally aggressive player with better cards.
I was no 8, no 10, no ace. I didn't even see the spades. I didn't see the spades.
Davin may not think so right now, but it's been a great World Series, $120,000 in main event earnings.
You got me. You got me good. Trap me. Wow. There's always many more years to come. I'll be back.
The World Series of Poker, Tournament of Champions, an ESPN special event. 10 of the world's top rounders will be chosen to ante up for $2 million.
Well, I walk into the room, passing out $100 bills. I'm in this town.
Winner.
Here comes the river card.
Take
the full house.
all.
And that is it. Wow.
The World Series of Poker, Tournament of Champions. Tuesday, September 21st at 9 p.m. Only on ESPN. Deal.
This is the greatest event in the history of mankind.
The strongest players in the world have come together.
This is the most prestigious event ever.
To decide once and for all who is the best of the best.
It's going to be the hardest mentally tough thing I've probably ever done in my life.
This is poker at its highest level. This is blind man's bluff.
It's going to be a war.
Welcome to Blind Man's Bluff, the final hand. Cloney Gowan versus Chris Moneymaker.
All right, there we go.
She's never had to pressure her heads up for a world title against my man.
Your man.
Mr. Moneymaker. She's yours, he's mine. I'm not ashamed.
Chris Moneymaker first to act. He's all in.
Really?
King 2. Cloney Gowan, Jack 8.
How could she go all in now? She's looking at a king.
I call.
She will call. That's the right call.
Oh, what's she doing? I knew your sweetie would crack under the pressure.
Jack 8 is perfect here. The flop. Oh, no Jack.
What a feat this would be for Moneymaker. Nobody's ever held a main event in Blind Man's Bluff title simultaneously. He's one card away from it.
Can't be happening.
Chris Moneymaker
Chris Moneymaker wins it all. How about 2 out of 3?
Last year was big, you know. I got a couple fans here and there and, you know, got to do some TV appearances, but after winning this, the world's my oyster.
What they should do, Norm, is let the main event winner have a free pass into next year's Blind Man's Bluff event. That's something to play for. Over to Eddie Scharf from Cologne, Germany. He holds a couple of bracelets in Omaha.
Yeah, the World Series of Poker, Lon, really a world event. Just look at the final 3 tables here. People from all over the world, all ages, online players, non-online players, just an incredible eclectic mix.
The bet from Scharf was 75,000 chips. And the table folds over to Matthias Andersson from Sweden. He has ace, queen, unsuited. And he's going to join the party and make the call.
I like him so much better when he's, I don't know, not shouting.
I don't think you're alone in that regard. John Murphy folds. It'll be Scharf and Andersson to the flop. And Matthias uncovers aces and leads. You got your earplugs?
He bets 75,000.
Scharf comes back over the top at 150. And a call from Andersson.
That's quick-paced action.
And now the turn card. It's a queen, and the kid just won't let up. Ace is up.
But he checks it.
And Scharf checks back. The river card. It's an 8 of diamonds. Andersson has clinched the hand. And he'll bet 100,000 chips.
This would be a tough call for Scharf. He didn't get his set. He missed his straight. He's looking at an ace, jack, and queen on a board. If Matthias has any of those cards, it would beat him.
But Scharf is going to go along for the ride. And Matthias shows him the winning cards.
Oh, that's it? Maybe Matthias is saving himself for the Metropolitan Opera.
The outer table's heating up also. Jason Sagel with an ace-10 unsuited, all in with his 237,000 chips.
I thought.
Action over to Hung La with an ace-king unsuited. He too goes all in for 480,000.
Yes, he's got Sagel covered, so Sagel's the one all in.
Over to Mike McLean now.
Nice and easy.
I call.
And a third player with 2 kings. McLean the best of all.
He has both of them covered, so McLean with the opportunity to knock out 2 players at once.
So 3 players to the flop. 2 of them are all in. Now the flop, no help.
Come on, baby! And that's good news for McLean. No help for La or Sagel.
The turn card now. A queen of hearts.
That officially eliminates Sagel. Call him a cab.
La with just a slim chance now. The river, 8 of spades, and Slim just left down. McLean knocks out 2 players. He's got over 1.5 million chips now.
And still with a pain, almost agony defeat expression.
La and Sagel finished 22nd and 23rd, and Mike McLean's thinking, hey, this thrill of victory thing could be fun.
The World Series of Poker is brought to you by Milwaukee's Best Light. Milwaukee's Best Light, brewed for a man's taste. And in part by the Toyota Tundra Double Cab, not just big, life size. And Harris Entertainment.
Today's session will end when we get down to 18 players and the final 2 tables. A number of players were recently eliminated and lost their shot at $5 million. Julian Gardner finished in 32nd place. Glenn Cooney went out in 30th. Matt Lefkowitz, 29th position. Martin Fejo walked away in 28th. Eric Vanderberg won $120,000, as did David Krong for 24th place. Scott Carpenter finished in 21st place. And Bob Jarrett, who almost made it through to the end of today's session, was just eliminated in 20th place. So 19 players are left in the hunt for $5 million. The next player that goes out will end the session. We'll be down to our final 2 tables. Josh Arieh from Atlanta, Georgia on the Miller High Life Pocket Cam, a 10-9 with 2 hearts. And he'll go for 80,000 chips. As you look around this room, Norm, different strategies for different players. Some just want to survive. Others have a big shot at winning this thing.
Someone like Josh Arieh will play aggressively to try to get the chips to put him in position to win. And others, you say, just try to move up the money ladder as best they can.
John Murphy with a lot of chips and a good chance to win also with 2 4s. And he'll make the call. The average chip stack right now in the room about 1.3 million chips.
And if you want to feel good about your chances of winning this thing, by the time you get to the final table, you really want to have at least 3 or 4 million in chips.
Harry Dimitriou with an ace-jack unsuited. And he will call also. So Josh Arieh made the bet with his wife Angela looking on rather anxiously. 3 to the flop, that's pretty. Harry gets the aces.
Arieh, meanwhile, flops a straight draw and a flush draw. In fact, a straight flush draw. Murphy got no piece of that flop.
Dimitriou checked over to Arieh, who now uses some of that muscle and pushes in 400,000 chips.
Boy, Josh has a lot of gamble in him, Lon. He's on a draw, puts in a lot of chips. Murphy drops out of it.
Action to Harry Dimitriou.
I'll put you all in.
Talk about gamble.
Well, he's got
the
top pair with aces and a straight draw.
610,000 chips from Dimitriou to put Josh Arieh all in.
Here we go.
Well, Josh says here we go, which means he's going to go all in, acknowledging that to his wife. And he's got a lot of gamble. On a draw only, his tournament life, and he wants to win this tournament badly. His tournament life at stake.
Almost 2 million chips in the pot. And now the cards are flipped over. Arieh sees that he is in trouble.
And Josh also motioning to Harry. He's upset that Harry put them all in with what Harry's cards are. Interestingly, Harry's got the better hand, Lon. Josh right now is just on a draw for his tournament life.
So Josh Arieh could be gone from this tournament after such a powerful run. The turn card is an 8, and Dimitriou's aces are still best.
So Josh down to perhaps his final card. He needs a jack or a heart, or he will finish in 19th place, and this session will end.
River card. Oh, it's a heart!
That's right. You're gonna put all your chips in with ace-jack like that, huh? We can gamble. We're gonna get it's on now. It's on now.
You got lucky, simple as that.
I didn't get lucky. You put your hand in where you put your, ooh-wee.
You made a good call. You got lucky, simple as that. What is it?
No class from Josh here. No class at all, Lon.
Josh just crippled Dimitriou with that win, and he's rubbing it in.
Uh-oh.
Well, you're complaining. You got the chips.
I'm not complaining at all.
You should show a little humility. You're not supposed to rub it in. You're supposed to show a little humility. That's all I'm saying.
Take it inside.
Well, I apologize.
I'm tired of seeing guys act like punks and then apologizing.
So Josh survived his all-in, but at the outer table, someone may be on the verge of elimination, thus ending the session.
We have 19 players remaining. There's 19 players remaining. The next guy out is 19.
Okay. So if I'm next one out, I get 120. Okay, I'm gonna call.
Well, that's Richard Fullerton with an ace-king, calling Al Crux's 2 6s, make that 3 6s.
Fullerton inching closer to 19th place money, checks.
80,000.
80,000 from Crux is called by Fullerton.
Gonna call.
And now the turn card. Ace of hearts, Crux has a hand that can't be beat.
I'm all in.
Well, Fullerton's going all in, drawing dead, which you don't see all that often. This reminds me of my 3rd marriage.
Al Crux will indeed make the call, and with that, he eliminates Richard Fullerton. The crowd congratulating Fullerton, but also celebrating the milestone of this year's main event. We are down now to 18 players and just 2 tables left. Richard Fullerton will take 19th place officially once the concurrent hand over on the featured table is complete. Josh Arieh and Harry Dimitriou are hooked up at the featured table. The last time they met, Harry lost over 1 million chips to Josh. He's left with just about 100,000 and ready to make a bet.
All in.
Harry does bet, Josh raises them all in, and Harry calls.
Even though Harry has the lead in his hand, if he gets knocked out, he will share 18th place with Richard Fullerton. We will go to the flop now. 5, 2, 7, Arieh with a pair of sevens.
Well, Harry goes from way ahead to way behind, and he's in imminent danger now of being knocked out. He needs a king.
And now here comes the turn card. Oh, it's a third 7 for Arieh, and Demetriou is eliminated. Harry Demetriou will share 18th place with Richard Fullerton, and each will take home $147,000.
Josh Arieh talked earlier that he outplayed his opponents 95% of the time here at the main event, but in 2 straight hands, he got very lucky to go from the verge of elimination to knocking out Harry Demetriou from the World Series.
The day was filled with agony and ecstasy. We saw some courageous miracles and some difficult defeats. And in the end, we said goodbye to a champion, but saw a young gun make some noise. We're down to 2 tables, 17 players all fighting for the chance to win the most prestigious honor and the richest prize in poker history. For Norman Chad, I'm Lon McCarran. We'll see you next time for the World Series of Poker.